What's going on, good people?
It's a new year.
Happy, absolutely, man. 2023, baby.
January 3rd to be exact.
January 3rd to be
2023.
exact, right? So we are coming to you guys, I want to say live, but we ain't really live. But I guess we are alive, right? From
Recording from. How about that?
recording from South Point Park here in Miami, Florida.
Yeah.
Okay. It's
The 305,
the
baby.
305. Okay, so Felicia is native of Miami,
Born and raised in the county of Dade.
and I was adopted. Okay, she was birthed here in Miami, and I was adopted.
I was born at Jackson Memorial Hospital.
I do consider Miami to be
Home.
more home, honestly, than Mississippi. Like I'm originally from Mississippi, but I just feel so at home when I'm here.
Feel connected.
I feel connected, man. And look, it is hard to not feel connected, man. Out here, this right here is the weather practically all year unless it's raining or there's a hurricane, right?
Man, a few days it was in the 40s when we first got
A
here,
few
though.
days it was in the 40s. But it was only like maybe 1 or 2 days,
Yeah.
maybe 1 or 2 days, okay? Not a lot. And then it warmed up. Macau must be like over on this side.
Probably so. My watch say it is 79 degrees outside right now. I see.
We're at the beach, guys, as you already know, and my son is out here in the water. So he's 13 years old. He swear he's Michael Phelps. So we just got to keep an eye on him because I can't tell him yet that he's not Michael Phelps.
Don't limit my guy. My guy.
I
Don't
ain't
have
trying to
no
limit it.
limit.
I'm just saying, like my guy's a little cocky out here in the ocean. This water is different than the water to be in the pool. It ain't the same.
But he got it though. He's out there.
He's out there, but we keeping a watch on him. So, guys, look, we wanted to come to y'all today, man, just to kind of rap for a moment about relationships, okay? Because
That's not like a never-ending topic though.
relationships is a
When you
never-ending
talk
topic.
about relationships, it can be so many different things that actually go with relationships. So,
Like what?
um,
What is one thing you think, right, um, goes with relationships? Whereas if you're talking about relationships, you got to talk about this particular topic.
well, I mean,
What's
there's a
one
lot of
thing?
stuff like number one, and we don't go back and forth on this. We kind of, agree with wherever we're at. But like, when you're in a relationship, where do you live?
Where do you live
Yeah,
together?
yeah.
That's what I mean. You live together. That's
No,
where.
but no, but that's not always true because some people want to be in a relationship or even married, but they want their spouse or significant other to have their own place. I've heard a lot of women that say, like, yeah, I want a man, but like he need to be over there and I need to be over there.
Really?
Yeah,
You ain't never felt like that?
no, I need to be where you at and you
That's
need
what
to
I'm
be
talking
where
about.
I'm
That's
at.
what I'm talking about.
But some people feel like that. Then you
Okay.
have the issue of money, like do we put our money in the same account or not?
That right there is an
What's
issue.
mine is mine, what's yours is yours. I mean, there's so many topics when it comes to relationships.
Absolutely. But I want to talk about expectations today,
Okay.
right? Because I feel like a lot of people, including myself, right? A lot of people have very false expectations when it comes to relationships. And I think that as a result of those expectations, unfortunately, oftentimes relationships fail, right? Because we were expecting, maybe more than,
I
you
think
know,
sometimes it's not even the unmet expectations, it's the unknown expectations.
it's the unknown
It's hard
expectations.
to
What do you
meet
mean?
because it's hard to meet someone's expectations if I have no idea what they are.
Ooh, that's deep.
So it's not even that. I think that sometimes it's not even that your spouse or significant other can't meet them, it's that they don't know what they are.
They don't know what they are, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I think that's really deep though, because you're absolutely right, and especially in relationships where maybe communication is an issue,
Yeah.
right? It can be really difficult for partners to communicate what those expectations are, and if we're honest, those expectations really should have been discussed before the relationship agreement was even made.
Yeah, but you'll be thinking about that. You'll be like drunk in love. You know
Drunk
what I'm
in
saying? You
love.
be in the first met phases in the la la land and everybody's meeting their representatives, so you're getting a lot of those things in the beginning that may not be necessarily your requirement, but then you get used to them. But you know, your spouse was just kind of doing it to get you,
Right.
and then you know it kind of goes away. But it was never said that, hey, this is what I expect.
I got you. So look, when Felicia and I got married over 15 years ago, I had very false expectations, right? And here what my expectations were. I wanted to get in a relationship, and I didn't want to have any conversations about, what a good girlfriend or what a good wife looked like, right? In terms of, characteristics, in terms of, behavior, any of that stuff, okay? I didn't want to have none of what I wanted was for us to come together and for the relationship to be
Perfect.
perfect. I didn't want to have no discussions. I just wanted us to come together in a relationship to be perfect. What were your
And ooh,
expectations?
baby.
What were your expectations? Did you have any?
So honestly, I didn't have it. I was that. No, for real. Like you know, we'll keep it 100.
We're gonna keep it
We'll be
100.
transparent, right? So I've learned to set expectations. I can see.
Okay.
I've learned to,
Is he
have
too far out?
expectations. No, he's okay, babe.
Okay.
But when we first got together, you know, I was going with the flow.
Now, were you drunk in love or just going with the flow?
I was going with the flow. Everything was so different. It was so fresh. Um,
And fast.
and very fast. But I mean, I liked everything that you were putting down.
Everything I was putting down.
Was it wasn't even a lot of that to put down in the beginning.
Oh my God.
Right. I mean, I'm saying like it just wasn't. I mean, that wasn't the basic.
Hey, fellas, she could have just said, yeah, let me have that, right? You know what I'm
Like
saying? But
I'm
she
saying,
wanted to,
I'm
be
saying,
super technical.
I am technical. I'm very sorry, sweetheart. What I'm saying is that wasn't the foundation, but I did like that too.
Hey,
It's almost 16 years later. I'm still here. Okay.
okay. I'll take that one. I'll take that one. So I had very false expectations. Felicia had no expectations at all. So I wanted to kind of talk about that for a minute, right? So it's been almost 16 years now. If you could go back, right, what would you tell that 26-year-old Felicia that was just going with the flow as it related to relationships? I mean, do you feel like going with the flow was the best idea? Would you recommend, a person get into, a relationship or a seriously committed relationship with that mindset? Like, what have you learned over?
No.
No?
I would definitely recommend that you have some um, expectations. Have some non-negotiable. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially when you're in a brand new relationship with someone, you need to know what they expect out of you, but they also need to know, what you expect from them.
Gotcha.
So I would definitely say, like it can't be unrealistic. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, we're gonna be together 24/7 and every Sunday is my Sunday. Like, I mean, it has to be realistic and something that you guys can build upon. But there definitely needs to be, some sort of expectation.
So let me ask you, and I'm definitely going to answer that question as well. What would you say, should be a woman's right 26-year-old? We're talking to the 25 to 30-year-old. What should be some of those non-negotiables, right, or expectations set forth in a relationship? Kai, if I can see you, man, that'll be great. Okay, if I can see you, that'll be great. Not too far out.
But
It's
like,
tough being a parent
but
sometimes, guys,
I'm
but y'all know
ready.
that.
Like, you see, I already took my purse off. I've already planned out if I have to go and get him.
If you gotta go and get them,
Come on, I know how to swim.
why you put my business out there like that,
Cause
man?
you starting it, let the boy have fun.
I want to make sure I can see him in case I have to learn how to swim.
Babe, I can see him. Like he's good. He's not going too far out. I can see him. He's
Okay.
good.
Okay.
And I'm ready. Let me put this back to side. I already took my purse off. You didn't even notice that, huh? I already took my purse off. I'm gonna put this stuff right here.
Hey, we parents for real, for
For
real.
real, for
Okay.
real. So I could keep a good eye.
All right. So back to those expectations or those non-negotiables.
Um, so I'm gonna be honest. I think at 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, you're really trying to still even figure yourself out in a lot of cases. Um, so one of the expectations is that, we grow together
Hmm.
and that, we do have clear communication. If I feel like, or if I felt like you were, ahead of me in growth, or I was behind you or whatever, it should have been communicated. A lot of times in the beginning, I think it just used to frustrate me because you clearly knew what you wanted, and I was still trying to, catch up and figure it out. I know that I wanted to be with you, but when you're in a relationship and a marriage, it takes more than the want to be together.
Okay. So that's number one.
Yeah. I would say number two is, to be honest, I mean, I think that you have to have some type of financial expectation.
Mm.
You know,
And we had no
we
financial
yeah,
expectations.
we
We
had
had no
none,
conversation
nothing.
about money whatsoever.
No, we were not clear on money at all, and I definitely think that that's the expectation that needs to be set. And these things are going to change over time, but that conversation does need to be had in the beginning.
I agree with you.
Um, And I would say the third thing is, I had it in my head right now and I forgot it. What was my third thing? Oh God. Um,
We're about to edit this part out, but that's cool though.
so I would say the third thing is even having expectations like around the house. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that I at some point just felt like I needed to do everything. Like, I don't know if y'all are like me, where you just feel like if you're not doing it, it ain't getting done right.
I'm sure some ladies out there is like, hell no.
I
But
feel
I'm sure
like if
some
I if
are.
I'm not doing it, then it's not done right. But I should just set the expectation on how I want it, so everybody can do it right.
Mm. We've
So
definitely had a lot of conversations in our house about how to do stuff. And fellas, I don't know if you're like me, right, where you try to take the initiative and do something, whether it's washing dishes, mopping the floor, right, whatever it is, only for your wife to step in and now parent you, right, mama you on, boy, that ain't how you wash this. Do it like this. That ain't how
yeah,
you don't do it in that direction. You do it in this
I
direction.
probably was really bad about that.
I mean, to the point to where you're like, you know what, man? Yo,
I was
you
just
want to
not
mop
even gonna do
mop
it,
the
huh?
floor, right? Absolutely. All right, so those three things were the first one was
Yep.
the first one was
Uh-huh.
oh my god.
The first one was have some expectations.
The first one was have some expectations. So look, guys, and we're always
I
having fun.
mean,
We're doing this off the cuff, okay?
I got my notebook, but he didn't even tell me what we was talking about
Look,
before we turned the camera
we're doing
on.
this off the cuff. So
I,
this is real authentic. Can you see your boy? Can you see him? Okay. This is really off the cuff, right? And let me just say this. This is my disclaimer.
you can put a disclaimer.
Yes,
Yeah,
Papa.
give me a
Part of
disclaimer
this,
because
we dated for 2.5 months. Okay, like seriously dated for 2.5 months. We will celebrate our 16th year in July of 2023, July 10th. Okay, so though this stuff is off the cuff, I'm gonna say we know what we're talking about, right? We're still together. Are you happy?
I am happy.
All right, I'm happy as well. Okay, and look, just because we're happy don't mean we don't have ups and downs or some
It
days
definitely
where
doesn't.
where maybe you're not so happy, but overall, I mean, very happy. Okay,
Yeah.
so if you don't have a notepad and pen, you should have one, right? 'Cause you're gonna get some nuggets from this conversation. Okay, so the first thing was have some expectations. Don't go in a relationship on some just going with the
On
flow
some
type,
drunken love, go with
on
the
some
flow
drunken
type of
love
thing.
type
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Number two was
Money. Have
have
some
some money
financial
expectations,
expectations.
right? Have those conversations. Talk about credit. Talk about budgeting. I would even say, oftentimes before we get married, especially in Christian household, the recommendation is that you go to marriage counseling first, right? You sit with your pastor. You guys have these conversations about marriage, biblical principles, etc. But I've never heard anyone recommend that
Financial
before you
counseling.
get married, you sit down with a financial planner, an advisor, somebody that can help you, just kind of set realistic
That's a good
expectations
idea.
when it comes to money.
You know,
It
we could
is.
do a workshop for that.
We should do a workshop for that
Like we can do, you know what I'm saying, like before you get married, the money part.
before
Because
you get married.
nobody wants to talk about the money part.
I
That's
love that.
uncomfortable for a lot of people.
I
So
love
you can
that.
be like
I
that.
love that. That is dope. That is dope. Okay. And number three was
Around the house, expectations, clean up and
expectations
stuff
around the
around the
house.
house.
Okay. So, guys, look, write those three things down. Now, those aren't the only things, right? But we're going to give you a few things right now that I think you can chew on. Maybe something for pillow talk right before or as you're going to sleep. Now, I'm going to talk about my unrealistic expectations and what I would tell that 25-year-old Tremaine that got married. That's right, guys. Felicia is just a little bit older than me. She's a
Now,
cougar.
see, you guys be
Okay.
putting my business
She,
out
she's
here.
just
I
a little
thought we
bit
was not doing that.
she's just a little bit older than me.
That's so
Okay.
disrespectful.
So when we got married, she was already 26, and I was 25. Man, she took
I'm,
advantage of my
I'm
innocence.
4 months older than him.
She took advantage of my innocence,
4 months.
guys. So anyway, I would just say to that 25 year old Tremaine that expecting relationships to be perfect is one of the biggest, most catastrophic mistakes that a person can make in a in I was going to say in a brand new relationship, but I think that in
In
any
any
regardless of where
relationship.
you're at, what point you're at in your relationship, because that is just not realistic whatsoever. But I really did want things to be perfect, so I'm gonna be honest with you guys, man. Like I found myself disappointed sometimes. I found myself, questioning, our union. I found myself, always feeling like I had to fix stuff and talk about things, and I would talk about stuff forever. I mean, I would start a conversation. Felicia would fall asleep, wake back up, and I would still be talking. She'd fall asleep on me, wake back up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That is not funny, but it's funny because it is so true.
it
It's like, you know how that at some point you hear somebody talking, but it's just like, wah, wah, wah. It's terrible.
that's
And
what you
when
used to
I'm
think.
sleepy, it's lights out. Like,
Womp
okay.
womp womp. That's what you used to think.
Because it be the same thing. Like, no, go ahead. You tell your
Oh
part.
my
Go ahead.
God.
I'm
So,
sorry. I didn't want to interrupt.
but yeah, that right there was an issue for me though, right? Always want to talk about stuff, always expecting things to be a certain type of way, instead of now. And I'm not going to say today because I'm not a go with the flow type of person, but one of the
Not at
things
all.
that Felicia taught me though was that not absolutely everything is a must discuss. Okay, it's okay to chew on some things, think about some things, before discussing them. Because truth be told, today I do that more than I did when we first got married. And a lot of times, a lot of the conversations we just don't even have to have. I've been
So,
thought about it and already kind of worked it out on my own.
and let me give a little backstory on that as well. Like, we have to say that when we met, the thing that we did agree on was getting married, but we had come from two really different backgrounds as far as relationships were concerned.
Hmm.
So Tremaine had been, in a couple relationships. He had kids already when we met. I came from like literally being single and clubbing. So a lot of the things
She was a
that
party girl,
I
and
was a
not in
party
that way, but
girl,
she was always at what's a look,
iguana.
Iguana. They were
That's
always
when
at
that was back
Iguanas.
in the time when Club Iguana was big. So the things that he had thought about and the plans that he wanted for his life were very different because he had children. You know what I'm saying? Already, I didn't have any kids. I didn't have those responsibilities. I mean, I really didn't have to think about anyone but myself. And by us getting married so fast, it was an adjustment that I really was not mature enough to even understand, the shift that would happen. So these were conversations that, he had probably been thinking about way before me, and not necessarily in a person, but just relationship wise and what he wanted life to look
Just
like.
kind of an idea.
Yes,
Yeah,
and I was still very much so just going with it, so to say. So in the beginning, we did bump heads a lot because people would ask me stuff that I like literally have never, ever, ever
oh my
thought about
God,
before.
God, look, I swear to you, I would probably say 90% of the questions I used to ask her, she had no response to. She's like, let me think about it. Or, you know what, I'll ask her a question at like 10 o'clock. I'm just throwing out a time out there. And for real, 10:20 would pass, there's still no response. And I'm like, hey, yo, I mean, are we talking or are we talking? And she's like, I'm thinking about it. 10:45. 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. The girl's still thinking about it. So she had never, I guess there's
It
just
was
a lot
just,
of,
it was, I mean, we were just from totally different walks of life. You know what I'm saying? Like, in that regard, I know that there were certain things that you wanted planned out, and there were certain things that you had to think about because you had kids
absolutely.
that had just never been my thought or my concern.
So look, guys, I think we just gave you four things actually. It's okay for your relationship to not be perfect. As a matter of
They're
fact,
not going
I
to be
think that you should
perfect.
embrace it not being perfect. And over looking for a perfect relationship, I think that you would have a lot more success. People will have a lot more success in relationships if you just expect it to understand and be understood. Okay, you got to understand where your partner is coming from, and I think that it's okay to expect to be understood. Okay, we're not going to always see eye to eye. Relationships are tough, right? The good ones are tough and the bad ones are tough. Okay, you're not going to get a perfect picture relationship, and
So
I
there,
hate to be the one to tell y'all that,
well,
right?
let me say this. What I have learned is that understanding and being understood does not mean agreeing.
Absolutely.
It does not mean agreeing. So, I can understand his point of view on whatever the situation is. Although I may not agree with it, I have to understand how he feels and why he feels that way. And only at that point can we make some resolve to move forward.
I think that was actually a really good point, right? And I'm so glad you said that because see, somebody would have took that out of context a little bit and heard, oh, you need to agree with me.
Yeah,
No,
no.
Felicia is absolutely right.
No.
Look, I may not agree with her on everything, and I'm not going to agree with her on everything. We're two different people. You know, she's a woman, I'm a guy. We're wired very differently.
Right.
I'm not going to agree with everything. Like, Felicia may, I mean, to her, she may spend $1,000, $3,000 on a handbag, for an example, right? Because see, to her, the quality, the
It does make a difference. I'm gonna tell you, material quality
see,
material
there you
makes a
go.
difference.
In my mind, I could never see, right, spending that much money on a handbag.
But then we talk about bicycles.
Absolutely.
Cause
I'll
I'm
spend,
like Walmart special. Like, why we in the bike shop? Like, is that really a thing? I never even knew it was a bike shop until I met Tremaine.
absolutely. I'll spend
Thousands of dollars.
thousands of dollars on a bike, right? Or on a camera or something like that. And I think that today she can understand,
Yeah.
she may not, fully be able to wrap her head around, but she can understand when I'm talking about quality. I've been on a cheap bike before, guys, hit a bump and flipped over that thing, right? You know what I'm saying? It hurt myself. I've bought cheap bikes where every other month or every year you're having to replace it, right? You know,
Well, this kind of off the topic, but no, for real, that is true because like, Makai is 13, and you bought me a bike for Father's Day one year. Well, it had to be in 2009 because I was pregnant when I was riding the bike. It was Father's Day. I got
okay,
a bike, but I still have that bike today.
still have that bike today.
So
See, had we bought a Walmart bike,
that bike will be 14 years old. That
had,
bike is older than Makai.
had we bought that Walmart bike, we
Yeah,
wouldn't
it would
have
have
it
been out
right
of
now. It
there.
would have been
It would
out
have
of
been out
there.
of there.
Okay. So look, guys, I hope that helps you all. Some, please, man, if you have any questions, drop them below, right in the comment section. We're gonna be having these conversations about relationships, about marriage. Because when we got married, we didn't really have a guide. Did you have a guide?
Heck no.
we didn't have a guide, right? And honestly, I would probably too frustrated expecting, something unrealistic to even
To even
think to look
listen.
on YouTube and
Yeah.
find, content about marriages and relationships, right? As a matter of fact, one of our first arguments that I can remember, and we had just got married, and this was around the time smartphones hit the scene, and Felicia decided that she wanted to be a part of social media. Okay, now where we used to work, I had some coworkers that used to be on social media. This was MySpace, and they used MySpace specifically to hook up with chicks, right?
And
So
that
to
was not what I was
so
using it
to me,
for.
that is what social media was used for. So when my wife started talking about, my brand new wife started talking about wanting to get on social media, I just thought to myself, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? I remember telling her like, yo, we don't have the space right now for this.
We probably had that conversation at the beach.
We did have that conversation at
I
the beach.
remember that.
I can remember that. And to me, social media was just going to be a distraction, etc. And look, we talked about it. I guess we were able to come to some medium. I don't know if it was a good one at the time, but I understood where she was coming from. And guess what I did? I joined social media myself. Okay. And anyway, guys, look, if you've enjoyed watching this video, man, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. This won't just be about marriage and relationships, right? This whole channel is going to be about entrepreneurship, business, marriage, relationships, right?
Family.
All of that, family, because all of that is very important. And it's a reflection of our life, right? Like we are in marriage, we're also in business, we're also parents, right? And we're building something. So we're going to be discussing all aspects of all of those things, okay? So expect to get more from us. But until then, it's been nice chatting with you. Again, I'm your boy Tremaine McTiller, aka Mr. M5, and this is
Felicia Tiller, aka Mrs. M5.
Mr. and Mrs. Motivated, Financially Independent, Victorious Entrepreneur. We'll see you guys later. Peace.
Peace.